How do you deal with the responsibility of handling something like Steve Roden's contribution when he's not there to have that conversation? How do you keep yourself sort of, I guess, honest would be the way to say it, but,
Yeah, yeah.
consistent with what you just told me?
Yeah, very carefully. I mean, the first thing was to check with Sadi, Steve's widow, and say, "Is this okay?" And I've been working really closely with her for the last 3 years on Steve's archive, and we run into a lot of ethical decisions that we have to discuss all the time. And sometimes someone wants something from her, and she says, "I don't know," and I'm like, "Yeah, I wouldn't do it." Other times, yes, but within these parameters. And Lawrence is also working to release a lot of Steve's work. So we're very conscious of him not being in the room. Steve and I also did collaborate together. I watched how he worked and listened to how he worked. He experienced my process. We adapted to each other. So I guess I would just say I had the sensitivity and awareness of the loss of his life. He had Alzheimer's before he passed away. And so even the kind of discussions I was having with him as he was ailing had to be very careful and not to ask for something that he might have said no to. But we found a track that we thought had space, and with permission of his family, treated it with respect, but also because it was going to be a piece of music, played with it in the way that I kind of imagined playing with him. Remember, he and I did these gigs in France together, and we're both using modular synthesizers, but neither of us really knew how to use them that well. But
Yeah.
we had this kind of friendship that he would be like whispering to me, "I forgot to bring an oscillator." And I'd be like, "Well, just patch into my case." And, we'd have our hands over each other, or he'd be getting mad because he thought I was feeding back. And I'd be like, "Steve, it's you. You're the one feeding." So I felt like I could make decisions that I wouldn't have made if somebody I knew less was the person and, in point.
Yeah. There's a real ethical and moral overlay of what you're talking about here. This is
Yeah.
not just about aesthetics.
No, not at all. No. And I used to ask him to collaborate fairly often, and sometimes he said no, sometimes he said yes. He was very open when he was either interested in an idea or just felt like he needed to put time somewhere else. So in some ways, I had to imagine what if he would have said no, but we weren't changing his material except to add to it. Like I wouldn't slow his track down and mute it or mutate it into something that he wouldn't recognize. I guess that was also part of it.